From your letter, I can see that you are concentrating on reciting the Buddha's name, bowing to the Lotus Sutra and trying to reduce your transgressions, but you have not yet achieved success. You are thinking of following the ledgers of merit and demerit to review your progress day by day. All these actions demonstrate that your cultivation in recent days is truly aimed at self-improvement. Unlike those who attempt to deceive others with external displays to achieve renown. What you do is not something they can compare to. I truly rejoice in your actions. Worshipping, chanting sutras, repeating mantras, chanting Buddha's name, all kinds of practices should be based on sincerity and respect. Once you have extreme sincerity and respect, although as an ordinary being, you may not attain perfect merits that are mentioned in sutras and scriptures, the benefit you gain from it is already imaginable. Conversely, without sincerity, bowing and reciting are no different from acting in opera. Although you may be displaying the external signs of suffering, joy, compassion, and other emotions, they are all make-believe because they do not spring from the depth of your mind. Any blessings or virtues that may result are but diluted merits of the human and celestial realms. And we are bound to accumulate evil karma by obtaining this kind of ignorant merits. When will the pain end in the future? You should explain this to all your friends and colleagues, enjoining them to cultivate sincerely so as to spread the benefits widely. The established rule for prostrating before the sutra certainly has no theoretical objections. From a practical perspective, if one were to perform a general prostration, one should recite Namo Mahayana Sublime Dharma Lotus Sutra and the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the Lotus Assembly. While prostrating, one may remind the words of reverence. The true void nature of Dharma is like space. The eternal Dharma treasure is beyond comprehension. My form appears before the Dharma treasure with wholehearted sincerity. I pay homage in accordance with the Dharma. Visualize the entire sutra emitting light, as well as the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas mentioned within, each radiating light that touches oneself and all sentient beings throughout the Dharma realm. If one pays homage to each individual character of the sutra, one should contemplate as follows. With single-minded devotion, I pay homage to the Mahayana Sublime Dharma Lotus Sutra, to the Dharma treasure embodied in specific character. For each bow, one reflects on the corresponding character, starting from "Thus I have heard from the Buddha," and continuing until the final character of the sutra. However, visualization is not an easy task. One may cause the rising of demonic matters without a clear understanding of the principles or with a scattered mind. Therefore, as long as one maintains utter sincerity and respect, one can choose to visualize as much as one can. Otherwise, simply bowing with wholehearted devotion also has immeasurable merit. It would be more focused and consistent to enshrine the sutra before the Buddha and wholeheartedly dedicate oneself to paying homage to Amitabha Buddha, instead of your established rule of bowing before the sutra, remaining verses during prostration, and visualizing the Buddha while reciting the Buddha's name upon rising. You should not think that the merits and virtues of reciting the name of or visualizing one Buddha are less encompassing than those received from many Buddhas. You should realize that Amitabha Buddha is the Dharma realm treasure body. All the virtues of the Buddhas in the 10 directions of the Dharma realm are fully encompassed in Amitabha Buddha. This is like the jeweled night of Indra, where thousands of jewels are contained within a single jewel, and a single jewel reflects the entirety of thousands of jewels. Each contains all without any lacking and surplus. To great sages who have cultivated for a long time, widely varying conditions and environments do not matter. In fact, the more diverse they are, the more focused the minds these sages become. For beginners, on the other hand, if conditions and environments are varied, the mind consciousness grows confused and unfocused. Those with heavy obstructions and shallow wisdom may cause the rising of demonic matters. For this reason, Buddha Sakyamuni and the patriarchs all enjoined us to recite the Buddha's name single-mindedly until achieving samadhi, at which time hundreds of thousands of Dharma methods and countless sublime meanings will manifest themselves in full. To exemplify this truth, the ancients have said, those already bathing in the great ocean must be using hundreds rivers' water. When oneself has reached the Hanyuan Hao, there is no need to ask where the Chang'an city is, as the Hao is there, which is the most accurate description of the progress of achieving samadhi. As for restraining evil and cultivating virtue, check and correct one's fault. Although no book surpasses the merit and demerit ledger, but recording the merit and demerit is formalism if one's heart lacks the sincerity and reverence. I don't have this book, but in my view, as long as you hold a mind-sight of utmost sincerity and respect, remain vigilant at all times, and never allow a single thought of negligence or laziness to arise. In dealings and interactions with others, one should adhere to the principles of loyalty and empathy. By doing so, evil thoughts will not easily surface in the mind. Even if, due to past karmic habits, an evil thought occasionally arises, a heart rooted in sincerity, loyalty, and empathy will naturally detect it as soon as it appears. Once the thought is recognized, it will dissipate on its own, without being allowed to grow or spread. Thus, avoiding three karmas from body, speech, and mind led astray by such thoughts. The reason why an unscrupulous person pretends to do good while actually committing evil is because they believe no one knows about my wrongdoing. What they fail to realize is that this no one knows applies only to ordinary beings in the mundane world. For those who have attained enlightenment, they are certainly omniscient. Even celestial beings, spirits, and ghosts, though not yet enlightened, can perceive everything clearly as they possess the superpower of knowledge of others' minds due to karmic effects. Much more so the stage of listeners, solitary realizers, bodhisattvas, and Buddhas, who, with their clairvoyance and spiritual insight, can fully observe the past, present, and future across all three times as clearly as seeing the palm of their hand. If one wishes to deceive oneself into believing that others are unaware of their wrongdoing, it might still be possible if one is truly ignorant of their own misdeeds. However, if one is aware of their actions, then the heavens, spirits, ghosts, and all enlightened beings, including Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, can fully perceive and see them. If one understands this principle, they would not dare to be negligent or careless, even no one is around. In places where others cannot see them, they would not dare to give rise to evil thoughts, for the heavens, spirits, and all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are fully aware of everything. Upon realizing this truth, even those who lack a sense of shame ought to feel so ashamed that they would wish to disappear from sight. How much more so for those who truly practicing? Therefore, to reduce one's faults, one must begin by cultivating a sense of awe and reverence for the omniscience of the sages, saints, and spiritual beings. When one deeply admires the ancient sages, they may even see the presence of the sages in the most ordinary things, whether in the broth of their soup or on the walls around them. Practicing caution in solitude, one refrains from shameful deeds even when facing their own shadow while walking alone, or lying under their blanket while sleeping alone. However, this explanation remains superficial teaching that based on mundane views. In truth, one's mind is intrinsically united with the entirety of the 10 directions of the Dharma realm. However, due to the delusion and ignorance of our true mind, our perception becomes limited to our own self. The sages and enlightened beings of the 10 directions, having fully realized the Dharma realm treasury mind inherent within themselves, completely transcend such limitations. Every thought and intention of all sentient beings within the Dharma realm is directly and fully known and perceived, because all beings share the same fundamental nature of true suchness, with no distinction between self and others. Understanding this principle naturally instills a deep sense of caution, self-vigilance, and earnest dedication to sincerity and reverence. By diligently working to quell deluded thoughts from the very beginning, over time, delusions will cease to arise entirely.